And just like that, we're back, right? Not planned. I'm not sure. I'm actually gonna move this chest. Not sure if we're gonna get Slone eating fully. Slone is at a point in the program where, let me move this. Slone is at a point in the program where he's eating every other meal. He's starting to get comfortable. He's starting to walk with dogs. He's beginning to understand that he's not getting fed. He's not able to be possessive and guard at the bowl. But the people that he doesn't want to really associate with are the ones that are always trying to give him opportunities to feed. So he's been coming around. So usually the way it works is when I have a dog that doesn't know or has no interest in eating, even if it's like a beef liver treat, they're like, I don't really want that. Then we make sure they don't eat anywhere else. This is the only thing, and they have to do something specifically in order to get food. So we try to keep it very basic. We know that he's done some training before with some friends of ours, just a couple of like sessions and things like that. So it's kind of given us a head start with concepts. So now we have to get him to kind of come around. So he may eat in this, he may not, but we're gonna show you what I mean. So the thing is, I've gotten a meal out of him where I've leash pressured him and into a sit, and then I've yesed him. On yes, the dog takes food. And I've covered markers, so I'm not gonna get too detailed into that because I did a periscope on markers and how we use them. So we're just taking those markers and we're applying it to this. This time we're gonna do place. So by going over to that square, when you hear yes, come and take your food. I release food when you go to that square after I say place. And in the beginning, I might not say place, but I know that he knows it, so I'm already naming it. And this is how you eat. If you choose not to eat, we'll work back and forth a little bit, and there might be a little bit of praise, but then that opportunity to eat is gone. We'll come back later on at dinner and we'll try again. And eventually the dog goes, wait a minute, I'm responsible for getting food? So if I do that, that's how I get fed? I'm not allowed to be possessive and guard a bowl. So this is a dog. If you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook, you've seen the videos. So nervous and so fear aggressive that just me walking toward, even if it was like a filet mignon, would result in like a lunge and an attack. You know what I mean? Me trying to reach for the leash. The owners, if they're sitting on the couch and they drop the remote controller while they're watching TV or the remote control, they have to think of a game plan of how they're gonna pick that up because the dog is next to it. That's how bad or how severe this is. So having said that, we're gonna show you where we are with Slone right now. Slone may take food, Slone may not, I'm not sure. So let me try and see. I'm gonna set this up here. And I figure why not include you guys in this, right? You get to see it. It might go great, the dog might not take food, but this is all part of the process. So, pretty good there. Where am I? Right around here. I'll back this up a tad. Okay. I'm also going to get him on a long leash or a longer leash, which is going to help me. Stop. Yeah. Oh yeah, could you? Sorry, thanks. I forgot about that. So you can see even movement. My movement was like just trying to speed it a bit, and even that movement gets him a little bit jumpy. So I'll reach for the leash here. Good job, bud. You can see how nervous he is. He's like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna leash pressure him into a sit. I'm at the point now where I can finally do something like this. Before even me being here would have set him off and had him redirect. I'm also at a point where I can actually touch him. Good job. I can actually do this. And he's coming around, right? Before, that would have been an attack, flat out. So now what we're gonna do, he knows the word place. I'm gonna spin him this way. If my leash pressure, this is very important. If my leash pressure goes here, I need him to turn this way. I can't do this and have him turn that way. That's gonna be very, very confusing. So right when we get here, I'm gonna bring him back this way. I actually need to go wider softer here, and then I'm gonna SIT him here, right? There's a little bit going on in the background, which is why he's kind of looking in that direction. I have food here. You want the food, I'm gonna show you what you have to do to get it, and it doesn't require you, it does not require you to jump through a flaming hoop. You see that? I can't have that. The dog must learn to focus on me. So position is important in the beginning, right? Good. So I'm going to say the word, and then I'm going to send the dog, okay? So it's gonna be like this. Place. My body's gonna move. Yes, so good, so good. And look at that, now the dog is actually eating. That's a gamble. I actually am also gonna start moving away. Really important. Good job. This is usually, that takes about 5 tries and then he starts to get it, right? So this is actually a really big deal. Place. Yes. Good job. Good job. And also going past my body where I'm hovering over, that's a scary position to be in. I do all these little things on purpose. Really good. Really good. Come here. Now we're starting. Good job. I don't want a dog bolting over. I want a dog focusing on me. Place. Yes. Now, the reason we're just placing and yesing is because we have a dog that's really, really afraid. So I'm not going to place him good. I'm not going to walk over to the dog and give food because that can, what's up? Okay. That can, give me a second. That can be a little too much. So the good is going to come later. I'm just happy that the dog is eating. So we're just going to place this. You can just put it.
I was going to put it there.
Yeah, just for later. Yeah, just leave it right there for right now. Thanks. So this is really, really important. We're gonna spin him this way. Good. I might try a good and feed, but I'm not sure that he would take it. And I wanna, if I'm gonna be working with positive reinforcement in food, I wanna know that a dog is gonna take it so they can benefit from understanding, rather than me trying to negotiate and bribe it. I want them to already be comfortable by that point. That's just me, right? So, place. Yes. Good job. So good. So good. And then there's little things I can do where my hand can be a little bit smaller and I make the dog dig. You can see the tail starting to wag a little bit. We like that. So we definitely like that. I'm going to try. You just watching? Okay. Slone, place. Now we'll try the good, right? Good. I have to be this is awesome. I have to be very mindful of my body and how I walk over to Slone in those situations. Now I can do this. Nope. Very soft correction. Good. And because that's like the first note really that he's used to kind of getting, I'll actually feed on that, right? Gonna get him right back into the SIT. I'm gonna do this. Good. Then I'm gonna walk over and I'm gonna feed. Very nice. You notice because I have a dog that's just getting into this, I'm not trying to overwhelm the dog with love, right? That's not going to be beneficial for this dog right now. I'm giving him his space, and I'm letting him figure this all out. It's very, very important. I might come on over, so good, a little bit of that, and that's it, right? That touch, yes. And on the yes, my body moves. That's a little bit different. You can come to take food from me. I might start holding food here and moving a little bit more so that he can start really learning to get confident in taking food out of my hand, right? I want that dog because eventually that's going to be how I manipulate a dog, how I get a dog here, how I bring, even with leash, bring the dog this way into the sit, and then eventually when he's regularly accepting food, I can take this concept and he struggles in the crate, get him in and out of the crate. In the crate, yes. In the crate, yes. But when you come out, I might eventually ask for a sit like this, and then I yes you. That way I can leash you, I can do all these things. So this is where food and positive reinforcement starts to become beneficial for a dog like this, versus in the beginning, you had a dog that wanted nothing to do with food, so you need to understand what your other tools are. We need to understand how to introduce markers, how to introduce negative reinforcement and all that stuff. That's what gets the wheels turning. Doesn't mean that the dog, it doesn't mean that positive reinforcement didn't work. You just didn't understand where to use it in order and what it would actually work for and what it would limit you or be pointless for, right? So it works, you just have to understand where along the lines of the rehabilitation process it's beneficial, when you want to fade it out, you know, all things like that are really, really important. Or food, when you want to fade food out and stuff, and when it's pointless until you get to a certain point. So now we're at a point where this is actually going to be really, really beneficial for us. In the beginning, we couldn't use it at all, right? So in place. Good. Now another thing you'll notice is my space. I'll be here and I'll kind of reach a little rather than coming over here and hovering. This body language is not inviting. You have to be very aware of that stuff. Yes, good job. So when this starts getting good, I'll also start teaching eye contact exercises. I might try to show you guys a little demo. We've never done this with him before. So we'll see something real quick. I'm gonna try and bring him this way. Sit. Try to get him to maybe smell this a little and see his, yes, that was by mistake. That was really, really lucky. That happens. And then eventually, usually we don't mix and match this. I'm just feeling good and I'm trying to show you guys how you can take the same marker concept and work a dog for whatever you want. So I need the dog to come into me. That's why I'm coming back here and then using a little bit of leash pressure to kind of help that way. Now, same thing. Now that I have a dog that's really, really working, we kind of see, I gotta keep the dog engaged. Yes, good job. So good, you can see that tail wag. The dog is figuring out, whoa, wait a minute, there's something that I did, right? And now you start getting eye contact. I don't name it because this is the very first time that we've done it. Yes, so good, so good. And then what I might do is that might be the end of the session. It went really well. I'll do a little mini Q&A, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'll go back to what the dog knows. Slone, place. Yes. Go ahead. And now he can eat his food. I'm purposely not using a food bowl. The dog is very possessive. I wanna stay in control of the food. So I spread it out here. I didn't give it to him where I can walk later. I'm still in control here. If I need to call the dog away, I still have the leash. I can do that. I can be in position to do that, right? I can also eventually call the dog off of this. I'm not going to do it now. That would be too complex. Call the dog off of this, sit him, get eye contact, and when I get ate contact, reward him for the food that's over there. So there's a lot of ways that you can mix and match. Right now, I'm just happy that I fed him last night, he ate from me. This morning he ate from me, so he's starting to get into a really nice rhythm. Now we're gonna be able to use this to do a lot of other things. And we were kind of handicapped and we couldn't do that before, so that's really good. I'm gonna take the camera now. I'll answer a couple questions that you guys might have on this if some things were unclear. And then you guys just got like 2 periscopes back to back. So if you guys have any questions, thanks for the hearts, appreciate the hearts, always appreciate the hearts. He just finished his food. Thanks, appreciate it. Come here, Slone. So later on, like once we spend time teaching the dog what to do, teaching the communication, teaching all of this stuff, the dog is on a prong collar. The dog is on a prong collar. Down. Then eventually, when the dog is really, really good with this, then I can say, okay, I taught you the language, you're working for food, you know what to do, you're a champion. Now, I'm going to get to that in just a second, why we don't use a word for focus at first. Now, we're going to start all this studying that you've been doing, all this wax on, down, this wax on, wax off work that you've been doing. Now, I'm going to take, hey, good. I'm going to take that, and we're going to start challenging you more. Now, I'm going to take all your wax on, wax off work, all your studying for the big test, and I'm going to put you into a pop quiz. The quiz is going to be, now I know you struggle more here and I know you're prone to showing some of your vicious stuff. Now that you know what to do, you're used to listening to me, you're going to maybe try that. I'm going to disagree with that, and then we're going to have you do something else that you know how to do. And then I can successfully give a correction and say, don't do that, do this. If a dog puts up with stuff or gets a little silly, it's more fair Because you know what to do. I spent time with this. We taught you the language. Now, if I have to raise my voice in that language, you understand what I'm asking you. Too often, people try to correct and raise their voice in a language that the dog doesn't even understand. So it didn't matter if you whispered it. The dog wouldn't have known what you were asking anyway. So you spend time teaching the language, get that really good, and then jump into some of the problems and say, hey, you know this stuff. You just didn't know that you can make these choices around these challenges. And that's pretty much what it is if you sum it up. Somebody asked why I don't name or put a word to my focus or my eye contact. The reason this is what we do here for everything. We do not name anything until we like what we see physically. So we're teaching the physical behavior, and we're getting it good where the dog is doing it. Once the dog is doing it, then I name it. Everything. No, place included. The dog already knows place a little bit, so that's why I'm naming it. The dog will always know physically what to do. That way, by the time I start naming it, the dog is going to hear that and then do what they've been doing. Hear it, do what they've been doing. Hear it, do what they've been doing. How often do you see, I've used this example before, how often do you see a dog on the streets on a leash pulling? Name it when you love it. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Pulling, and the only time they hear the word heel is when they're pulling. They've never learned the physical behavior, right? So why would I name look at me or watch or whatever when the dog is doing this and the dog is doing this and the dog is whining and going crazy? It's just going to represent something different. I want to know by the time I'm naming it, you already are going to do it anyway. So eventually the dog goes, that's interesting. Every time I hear that word, they have me do what I've been doing. So what happens if I don't need the rest of the information? I hear the word and I try it. Oh, I can skip chapters. I don't need the rest of the information. I know what to do. And that's how you get a dog that sits when you say sit, downs when you say down, hears when you say hear. You don't fall victim of being a repeater, where you're stay, place, nope, place, nope, hey, here, nope, here, Fido, here. You don't become that type of person because you say something once and it's actually meaningful, right? All right, guys, that's it. 2 scopes back to back. I'm going to do another Periscope. Blake's thoughts on. We might do corrections. Might do it on corrections later on today. We did the one on positive reinforcement, and that's it. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for watching, and Harding Way. I love it.